This is Booming Your Bottom Line, America's #1 podcast for small business owners serving the aging baby boomers. We're going to give you what you need to reach, earn, and keep some of the 76 million boomer consumers in your community. Here are your hosts, Mark Hager and Aaron Murphy, with this week's serving of tips, ideas, and insight you need to supercharge your business.
Welcome to Booming Your Bottom Line, a weekly podcast where we talk about how to start, grow, or expand your existing small business by serving the specific needs of the aging boomer consumer. I'm Mark Hager, and with me is my co-host, Aaron Murphy. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
Great. Ready to get rolling today?
I want to start with a quote again this week. So I'm going to just start with something I read online. Fast Company said, helping your employee build their personal brand is one of the greatest investments you can make and the greatest reward you can provide to an advocate. So, are you wasting free advertising opportunities? Or maybe you didn't know that you are. Are you missing a chance for your employees? And you need to empower them to do this, mind you. But are you missing the chance for them to be your own personal, internal brand ambassadors? If you are, that's a critical error on your part if you're not doing that, okay? Unless you've developed a culture where your employees act as brand advocates, you're missing out on one heck of an opportunity to improve your brand recognition, both online and out and about in your own community. And there's no better. Oh, and did I mention free? I mean, really, you're already paying for your employees on the clock. Mm-hmm. There's no better way to spend your time and effort to get significant ROI in your own geographic area, both on and off the clock.
I totally agree with that, Aaron. If you don't see that your own staff are an opportunity, to have someone that you're already paying, like Aaron said, doing the extra job outside of the work hours of advocating for your brand, essentially you're missing out on an opportunity to make money. And probably bigger and more important than that is the leads that you can generate out of that. This is a very important point, and I'm actually really glad that we're talking about this in a full episode, because doing a deep dive into this, if you want to make a difference and make changes in your business, for the better, and in your community for the better, then this is a fantastic place to start. So let's talk about what a brand ambassador is, or a brand advocate. That is, any employee or resident, anybody out in your community, a family member or whatever, whoever they are, those are people that promote you, okay? They promote the culture and values and the successes, that they feel they're associated with through your business. So, you need to be aware that whether you think they are or not, people are talking about your company, okay? Whether you want them to or not, people are talking about your company. So it's best to get out in front of that and, encourage it by participating in it, and making the avenues available, which we're going to be talking about in this episode, for people to do that. And do it in a way that more positively reflects the image that you want reflected of your company. So, in terms of the importance of having great brand ambassadors, because anybody in business has had people who've said something negative about them, but we're going to focus on creating great brand ambassadors. Someone in your own community may be mentioning the benefits of your company in a passing conversation to a friend or a family member, and you have no idea about those connection points and how that's going to influence other people, either in their moment of need or when they see someone that's in a moment of need. Maybe it's an adult daughter who's sharing a positive experience on Facebook, or someone who is leaving a review or a rating on Google, or Yelp or someplace like that. But these people, they're excited about the level of care or the service they received, or they're really happy with the product, or they're just, head over heels about the experience they had with one of your employees. And, or maybe how it's, we talked about this adult daughter, maybe it's how her mom got treated, and she's excited about that, Of course, on the other hand, There's also, maybe it's a disgruntled employee that's talking trash about your company, or maybe someone who's in the office or, in your store, and they're doing it either online or maybe it's out on your store floor, or maybe it's when they're out having dinner with friends. I mean, you have no idea. But whatever that experience is, whether it's a person who's a customer or affiliated with a customer, or it's one of your own employees, you want to make sure that you know about what's being said, but also that you're encouraging, people to share you in a positive light.
Right. Yeah, and for those that haven't heard the statistic, I think I heard this first in the restaurant industry. You'll tell 3 people about a good meal, but 11 people about a bad one. Right?
Exactly.
And so, unfortunately, you need to control what's being put in the tank. Otherwise, all you get to do is smell the exhaust when you hear about it downstream. And
that is a great analogy.
You might not like that. So
exactly.
Let's control what we put in the tank on the front end, okay?
Yep.
So let's leverage this to your benefit. This is where you have this opportunity to turn people into your internal brand ambassadors. And here are just a few ways that you can get a great internal brand advocate on your team that's an asset to your organization. They're great for word of mouth marketing. And again, you're paying them already. So when they're off the clock, that is free advertising.
Yep.
Okay. They're going to improve your chances of getting new leads, new customers, just by talking about your company in a good light. And again, this all comes back to culture, right?
Mm-hmm. Which we're going to talk about.
At the end of the day, you're creating a culture that bleeds out into society, both online and in your community.
Mm-hmm.
And again, our goal here is reticular activator. We've mentioned that in the past, right? That when your company comes to mind, it's related to the subject matter and set in the light that you want to be seen as. And if you go back to last episode, this all kind of starts with that center of the concentric circle, the why.
Mm-hmm.
Your mission statement's bigger than, it's more of a cause that bleeds out into your what is your products or your services. But the why has to be the message that Mark said last week, kind of shouted from the rooftops, and that's you and your employees. So
right.
There's not a lot of negative. In fact, I can't think of any about controlling what you put in the tank so
mm-hmm.
that you get to control what's coming out the exhaust pipe, which is the message out in public.
Well, you say get to control, you get to influence.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, and that's actually a really great point, and we're going to talk about this a little bit here in just a minute when we talk about social media. But business owners that I've talked with, they get really afraid when you start talking about ratings and reviews and people talking about their company in a negative way. Well, you know what? That happens. We're in the internet age and people do that. You're just going to have to get over it.
Yeah.
But like Aaron said, if you are controlling what's being put in that tank, you are influencing what's coming out. Okay? So you've got to be able to get out in front of it and start making some positive headway towards influencing that. And that's everything we're talking about today. It's leveraging your influence to make sure that not only do your people feel empowered to spread your name, but that you're influencing what they're spreading. Because it's going to happen whether you want it to or not. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but just wanted to make that clarification.
Yep.
So anyway, how do you turn employees into positive brand ambassadors? How do you get them to go to bat for your company? That's essentially what you're wanting them to do. You're wanting to get out there and be your herald, for your company. So, like Aaron just mentioned, it needs to start with culture, with your work culture, okay? And before you can really address your work culture, before you can really assess anything in terms of what you need to do, you have to know where you are, okay? You have to know what's happening right now. It's the same thing we talked about with customer experiences. You have to know what they're going through now. Everything that's happening with your work culture, you need to take a look at it and use that as the basis to identify any changes that need to be made. Okay? So You need to get a feeling for what you want your work environment to be like, what you want your relationships to be like, what you want, how you want your team to get along, how you want everybody to interact with each other, all those things. But you can't make any changes to get there until you see where you're at. So you need to take a good long look at where you're at right now so you can identify those areas that need to be changed. Okay? And when you're talking about how you want to be, the work ethics, the values, the culture in your business. And this is something that a lot of business owners have a hard time doing, but you need to be hiring people that embody those values, that embody those things that are going to fit. We said before, you can hire anybody and teach them something pretty much. You can teach them a skill, but you can't teach them how to behave. Yeah. Every business owner knows that behavior is a major ordeal. So you've got to hire people that are going to fit within the culture where you want to be.
Mark, just a little sidebar. I growing up played sports on, multiple teams, basketball, baseball, and things like that. And the adage was so true that the better you know someone off the court, the better you know them on the court.
Yep.
And it was just, it was me and my best friend that could do the no-look pass, and you just had a sense, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same concept as far as hiring people that match you mm-hmm. with your ambition, your passion, your beliefs, your value system, right? It's like looking for a partner or a wife or what. The value core stuff is way more important than whether they have read the tech book on the product you sell yet.
Absolutely. So, and that's another thing when you're talking about the people that you hire. You need to be hiring people who are excited. Some of that excitement is going to come from the culture because they're going to, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, but yeah. You've got to hire people who are excited to be there. And if the people that you have right now are not excited to be there, you need to try to help them change that. And if they don't, you need to replace them. Right. This is your brand we're talking about. And I know we're getting a little bit off topic here, but this is really important. Your people are so important to the experiences for your customers that you're trying to build. Right. So, you've got people that are excited to work there with you. And when it comes to other things in your culture, here are a couple of things that you really need to have a critical eye to. And that would be one, communication. Your communication with them and that communication back to you, it needs to be respectful, it needs to be helpful, and it needs to be empathetic. You need to expect the same thing in your team that you expect to be giving to your customers. Okay? It needs to be, your environment needs to be ambitious. Okay? You've got your sales goals, your recognition in the community for your company or employees, what you do out in the community to make a difference in other people's lives. You need to set goals for that are stretching you. And you need to be excited about it, and they need to be excited about it. Because what that does is that it's not just about, the competitiveness of it. It is about setting the bar for your company and thereby for your employees and yourself. Giving them something to shoot for. That ambition, people crave that. Not in a dogmatic, you're going to do it or else way, because nobody likes to work for a tyrant, but in a way, hey, we are a team, we're making a difference in people's lives. We've set this bar up here because it matters. It matters to the company, it matters to the community, it matters to the people we're helping. People respond to that in your work culture. Yep. You need to be fair and focused. When you set your goals, the standards that you're all working under, and towards the standard of how you're going to provide what you're doing. You don't, like I said, you don't want to be a taskmaster. You want to be a loving leader. But you need to be fair. But when it comes to making decisions and ensuring that those standards are met, either with an employee and their behavior or in the quality that you are providing as an organization, you've got to be on it. You know,
Sure.
you've got to be focused on that goal. And when people mess up, you need to be fair. With your expectations, you need to be fair. In discipline, you need to be fair. But you got to be focused, and you got to move in that direction.
Are you talking to me as I've got a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old? Is that way? Oh, that sounds exactly like the parental discipline stuff.
Yeah,
Say,
it does.
You know, if it happens again, here's what'll happen, and then if you have to do what you say you do, or then they don't understand the rules. Anyway, I'm just chuckling.
But see, that's a thing. By being fair and being focused, and some of the other things we were talked about, you're gonna help them develop a sense of pride in working for you and in their company because it matters. You know, what you're doing matters, and you're doing it within this matrix of fairness and goal setting and standards. I mean, it creates this environment that people want to be a part of. And talking about that, you know, you need to work hard and play hard. Yeah. You know, we've talked about this before. Your team needs to be able to let off steam and relax, but they need to do that together some, because that's part of building and maintaining a cohesive team. You just said it before about sports. You know them off the court, you know them on the court.
Yep.
They've got to build those relationships for themselves, and the closer they are, everybody knows that working in a business a lot of times is like having a dysfunctional family.
Oh yeah.
But they're the people that make a difference. And you've got to support that. You know, and part of creating that culture is deciding how you're going to support and maintain that. So you can all meet your goals and you can all be happy. And I promise you, I know it sounds like I'm up on my soapbox, but I promise you, we are going somewhere about brand ambassadors.
Oh yeah.
We're getting there. Just a minute.
Yeah, and it's hard not to let all this overlap. I mean, the underbelly of what Mark just said, and if you can't see the passion, you're not watching the screen. You know, is about being a leader. And if you know, watch a Martin Luther King speech, watch a Nelson Mandela speech, right? We're not telling you to be Kim Jong-il or Hitler, right? That's not the message of the culture. But you can be passionate and be caring. So, as a leader, celebrate their achievements. Okay. Celebrate great work, reaching goals, going above and beyond the culture that you've asked them to do. And celebrate the small stuff. You know, we don't have to get to quarterlies or annual reviews.
Mm-hmm.
You know, make sure everybody loves to be appreciated. Everybody loves to be involved and know they're making a difference. That's why people get up for work. At the end of the day, it is not about the money when you look at the underneath of surveys and things like that.
Yep.
So make sure your employees are happy. Make sure that you train them in the culture that you want them out in the community with. That's how you get brand ambassadors. That is free advertising you're already paying for.
Right. And I know we're going longer already than we intended to, and I'm going to apologize, but I need to say something about celebrating the small stuff. When you celebrate the small stuff, even the littlest thing, you know, those little things, when they're when they're working with a customer, that can make all the difference in the world to a customer. You need to celebrate the small things with the customers and the small things that the customers never see, because you're helping them develop a habit of making a difference one little thing at a time. And that is going to go miles towards the customer experience and the relationships that your employees have with each other and your company.
Boy, Mark, this has been such an awesome conversation, and we've both had sidebars that were totally valid, but I think that in the interest of what we promise people, let's actually wrap this up. Let's make this a 2-part series so that we can dig in deep. I'm going to start next week talking about the social side of it and letting your employees be social. But in the interest of keeping this to about 15 minutes, let's wrap it up for now. Let's make this a 2-part series.
Okay, Aaron, that sounds like a good idea. We really appreciate everyone listening in today, and hope that you enjoyed this episode. We would ask that you please take 30 seconds and share it on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And don't forget that we are available on iTunes as well. And we'll pick up where we left off next week.
Have a great week, everybody.
If you would like to work with Mark and Aaron, have any questions about the show, or have a topic you would like them to cover that would help your business, please send an email to smallbusiness@ageandplace.com or call 865-236-1247. You will find the podcast archive, articles, and more to help you as you build your company at ageandplace.com/smallbusiness. Booming Your Bottom Line is a joint venture of ageandplace.com and Empowering the Mature Mind.